Yesterday, I got a comment on one of my short videos. That video, just about a 20-second clip where I suggested that there is strength in the body and that we are not as fragile as we think and we can access energy without constantly consuming all the time. And it's a core message that I really believe. And a viewer didn't like it, so I wanted to share that comment with you, and it's totally okay. I love having discussions. I personally believe that the world needs more discussions with people who disagree with each other in a really thoughtful way. We don't all have to have the same perspective, and we can learn and grow. So I'm going to share the little response, and then we're going to lean into it a little bit. In response to my statement, we're a little stronger than we think if we lean into some fasting space. This user says, "Are you a doctor? Don't give medical advice like this. If you aren't, you can hurt people." Okay. Simple fasting. Okay, to directly answer, yes, I am a doctor. Thank you. And no, we're not giving any medical advice here on the channel. Take a look at the video description for full information. I do have some attorneys who help me with that, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. Anytime someone says, "Oh, you can hurt people," okay, I pay attention. I pay attention to every comment on the channel, but listen, the whole thing I'm trying to do in medicine as a doctor, first, do no harm. And as I sit down and I strip my medical practice down to first principles, and I see a lot of harm happening, okay? And I say, I need to find a way to help this to stop. And fasting has been a part of that. And I am sharing that perspective in an educational and informational format. Okay, so all that out of the way, the thing I want to lean into, and look, I gave a heart, okay? So, and I invited this user in, see, I gave a reply. Are you here? Runaway Train. This is who gave us this comment. If you are here, much love to you. I gave you a heart, okay? I hope you are. Let's engage. Let's have a conversation. Nobody has to agree with anything I say. But Runaway Train, in my view, is absolutely the most poetic irony of a comment about this specific video, which is saying we don't have to consume all the time. We have strength here. And Runaway Train comes and tells us, "Oh, you can't talk like that." Oh, you can't talk like that, you know? And it's like, all right. I think Runaway Train, this is what I leaned into yesterday as I was going through with it. Runaway Train, I think, describes perfectly our modern food environment. We are living in this, what I describe many times as a consumption culture. This is a world that, apart from food, is about more and consuming things. And this is why I've done talks on minimalism, which is something that I like. Just bringing elements in, and then fasting to me is minimalism for the body. And so it's like we see the culture in so many ways, bigger, better, more, like all this. And then in the body, even medicine itself, for all of its benefits, pushing people to eat more, which is more frequently, if not more. This is how we get put into such a terrible bind in the weight loss space, because people are saying you have to keep eating, but you're also getting hit at the same time that you have to eat less. And this is very difficult to do. To eat more frequently and less total food puts us in this situation of eating little bits all the time, but never as much as we want, never truly satisfying. And then it's always running the digestive system. It's always firing up hormones that are telling us it's time to eat. So we end up hungry all the time, which is actually a really difficult and unsatisfying place to be. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. Good early morning to you. And Pat is here. Hello, welcome. So nice to have you all with me here. So this is what we're doing here on the channel. We're told in society, oh, you want to be healthy, you need to eat frequently. You need to eat at least 6 times a day to keep your metabolism humming. Maybe 7 or 8, have a mini meal and a mini snack and a mini snack. But we're watching the calories and don't dare push it over 1,600. And so now we're in this spot, eating little micro things. Okay, to me, this is not a pleasant way to go through life. It's not an effective way to go through life for many people if you are trying to lose weight. And so the thing that I am talking about, which I respond to this commenter, is to say, hey, there's a different path here. There is a different way of being. And if we're really talking about hurting people, like this commenter said, let's talk a little bit about how this culture of consumption is actually hurting people. Because I think it is. I like describing this yes, it's great for rabbits. I like that. It's great for rabbits and it's great for goats. I'm going to try to bring us some more footage of the goats at the end of the week if I can get it. This is what I want us to think about. Runaway train, okay? Society is a runaway train. Think about the statistics and the things that we've gone through, talks that I've given, bringing the statistics about metabolic dysfunction, chronic disease and inflammation, and all these things that are upstream or downstream of it. And the consumption both of processed foods, of total consumption of everything else that is happening in this whirlwind of a modern moment to create this situation. Oh man. So the runaway train, society say, is society not flowing in a healthy direction? Like we can just say that in broad strokes. We have technology. We have things that can help us to cope with the fact that we're having trouble in the body. We say things aren't optimal. This is just what we're trying to do. We're trying to be very thoughtful, move in a direction, say, how do we optimize health? How do we change something or change very difficult? So we're sitting here in this space. And the moment we come into a space, we're saying, it seems like this train is on the wrong way track, It's like that Soul Asylum song. I was just singing Runaway Train as I was singing this. Do you remember that one? Wrong way on a one-way track. This is sometimes how I think of society. It seems like we should be getting somewhere, but somehow neither here nor there, right? Do you ever feel like that in a dietary space? It's like we're doing a diet, we're doing a thing, as we're not getting anywhere. It's like, hey, let's just settle into it. It's a difficult space, right? This is what I'm trying to do. We don't sugarcoat anything. I try not to anyway. Say any dietary path that has challenges. Fasting space, to me, is another tool in our toolkit. And we want to put all of the tools together to help us walk forward in a thoughtful and powerful way, sustainably over time, so that we can build it over time into something that is serving us and helping us in a good way. So here I put out one statement on the internet, and that says, hey, we actually have strength in the body, and let's try to unlock it. And then I say, this is the irony. Runaway Train is telling us, hey, that is no good. You can't do that. Okay? But just think about it this way. Random guy on the internet says, consider not eating for a little bit. Okay? People questioning if you're a doctor or not. They don't know. I mean, they're just, doom scrolling on a feed or something. Let me know, dear Train, if you are here, what your mindset is. But, nobody asking if you're a doctor if you're pushing ultra-processed food on people 24/7. This is the greatest irony. This is why I just couldn't believe it. I laughed. I'm not laughing at you. I gave you a heart, okay? But I'm just laughing at the irony. Runaway train. Panicking. Someone is saying, oh, emergency brake. Look, if you are on a runaway train, okay, if your society is on a runaway train, you're looking to get off. Do you remember some Mission Impossible movie? Tom Cruise is stuck on the train. How do you get off? It's going 100 miles an hour. It's like somebody killed the brake. It's like, what you need is a brake, right? We got to slow this train down a bit if we want to jump off. This is hard to do, all right? And so in this analogy, to me, fasting is like the emergency brake, going to slow this train down so that we can step off. What I wrote in the description, say, I'm stepping off the train, right? And I have had so much benefit in my life. I've been sharing fasting perspectives with people. You know, when did this start? 2015 or something like that? So 11 years or so now. I've seen so much benefit from it. I've not seen anything like it. I'll just say I haven't seen anything like it. There's nothing else, not exercise, which I love. I'm a huge exerciser. Look at the videos. I talk all about exercise. I do, okay? But I have not seen exercise be the type of thing where I tell people, hey, why don't you go get a gym membership and start exercising? And things really change, But I tell people, hey, you might think about gently, let's work on it. As I tell people, talk with your medical team. But I see people start leaning into a fasting space. I see people being able to stop taking medications of many different kinds. I did the talk the other day on digestive health and acid reflux that amazingly, counterintuitively to what we often think. We think of eating food to soak up acid, but it can actually keep stimulating our acid production, and fasting helps so much with acid reflux and so many digestive problems. I tell people, hey, you might open up some fasting space. We see blood pressure go down, not for everybody and not instantly, okay? See, this is just the reality. And then as a process to jumpstart the metabolism, get some energy flowing, start the process, unlocking body fat. I haven't seen anything like it. Runaway Train says, no. Now, I don't know. Somebody just scrolling in on a feed, okay, who sees a thing, say, stop eating. Who knows what this person is? Maybe they have struggled with an eating disorder. Okay, this is what comes to my mind. Someone who has struggled with anorexia, which is just a horrible situation to be in. I have an article. Anybody in that situation coming through is probably not listening. They're probably not listening. They've clicked off, okay? Which is fine. It's totally fine. Fasting is not for everybody. Certainly not. It's not for anybody who is underweight, malnourished, not for anybody who simply doesn't want to do it, okay? It's an open, voluntary process. But I have an article, simplefasting.com, if you scroll through the articles down there. A thoughtful discussion of disordered eating. And I think one of the big things that has happened in medicine, because medical providers, especially nutritionists, have a lot of training in dealing with eating disorders of various kinds, and dealing with anorexia especially is very, very challenging, that we've basically taken the framework that helps someone with anorexia. See, someone with anorexia, you need to help them eat. They need to eat advice like this 6, 7, 8 times. Okay, you got to build the body up, okay? But it's like we've taken the advice for this situation and we've pushed it onto everybody. And this is the thing. There is not a one-size-fits-all dietary or nutrition plan for every person on the planet. There is such a wide variation of people and experiences, from someone, with a severe eating disorder who's very malnourished, and to the very other end of the spectrum. And when we're focused on somewhere on the other side of the equation, someone who would like to reduce the total energy in the system, giving people advice that is meant for people who are malnourished is just, this is how we get on the runaway train. And so say we want to pull the emergency brake and get off, say maybe not eating so frequently, start to open up some space. This is very reasonable, far from being something irresponsible, like the comment says. It is actually entirely rational, logical, reasonable, thoughtful, considerate to do. That's what I say. Yeah, this is the thing I was trying to say. Where are the people who are panicking when somebody is pushing processed food on people all the time? Think of all the commercials. Who could even imagine the number? Millions of commercials every day broadcasting people. Eat the chips, drink the beer, buy the candy, do the things. Nobody going, are you a doctor? No doctor going to be telling people to eat stuff like that, I think. Everybody knows, okay? But so no doctor, no people popping, are you a doctor giving nutrition advice on your commercials? But one person pops up, say, maybe we don't need to do that. Dangerous. Oh, man. Oh, I'm having fun with it. All right. Where are the warning labels? Yeah, that's interesting. It's just coming into my mind, We've got warning labels on the cigarettes, which is fine, and that's great, and say, well, that took decades and sort of things, and people get, well, this maybe isn't the best thing to be doing. What is causing more dishealth and dysfunction in society today? Is it the cigarettes, or is it processed food and all of this stuff? And where should the warning label really be? I really appreciate that. But instead of warning labels, we just get it pushed and pushed and pushed. The thing that is so amazing is we got Honey Nut Cheerios. Okay, go to the store and look at Honey Nut Cheerios. You got a big heart on it with heart healthy and approved by the American Heart Association. It's all processed carbs and sugar and stuff. And it's because it's whole wheat or whatever, It's okay, but you can't put you can't put a heart on the broccoli and say that is, approved, or your grass-fed beef or whatever it is. Things that are healthy can get vilified even, and things that are not really actually healthy, processed stuff, get supported and approved. This is the runaway train in action. Got to be very thoughtful and conscientious to look at this, and then all of that is even before you say, what if we just said no to all of it for a little while and let the body decompress? That's the real break for sure. So I put a couple notes for me to think about as we are thinking about this point. Runaway train, here we are. And it's how do we move forward? How do we think about it? One of the points I made was just to think about the deep history, I was thinking about this in the talk I did the other day, our little session where I was talking about my hike, and just walking these ancient trails through North Carolina and thinking, where did these trails come from? You could not go cross country in this place very far, very long without some kind of trail. And somebody, presumably, is the first one to do it, but these have been built, I think, over thousands of years. I would just think that Daniel Boone is out there following indigenous pathways and trying to find his way. Was he really hacking through it with a machete? I don't know. But when we get into the deep history of people, where has there been a culture where it is just normal to say, oh, don't eat meals, eat mini little bits and snacks all the time? This is just not really a pattern. If you are an anthropologist or sociologist of some kind and you want to dispute that, let's have a discussion. But I'm going to take it as pretty well established that human beings just not eating very frequently all the time. My study of physiology and my experience working with thousands of people on eating for 2 decades now is just tells me that the human body does very well eating meals. And the amazing thing is that our patterns of when we get hungry can come to conform to times when we voluntarily choose to be eating. And this is how we take something that is difficult. I never say that fasting isn't difficult. And we bring it into a state that can be manageable and under control. and ultimately can help us to flow forward in an easier fashion. This is my total result. This is what I experience. When I get out of a groove of fasting, I gotta like do the work to dial back into it, because body gets the picture. Oh, we're not doing that now. Now we're eating more frequently, and so then we feel the physiologic effects of that, and then I say, oh, then we want to switch back in. Tell me if this is your experience. Do you feel that you kind of got to shift gears to get into the fasting space? But as you train it, as you do it, as you practice that shift, then you have more experience with it. Has this been your experience? It's like, oh, yep, we're going through, this is that day 2 where we kind of diving into it, gotta like reform the foundation, build out those pathways, so then it starts to flow. Fasting flow state. This is what I want. Whatever your fasting pattern is, if you're trying to get down to 2 meals a day, 2 meals a day is what I consider really kind of a baseline for fasting. There is a little bit of gray area, in medical literature about how do people define fasting. I think that is a point of contention that could really use a lot of thought. Some people say, well, fasting is just time-restricted eating, and if we get 3 meals in still within a window, then we say that's fasting, and then that brings us into this space where you say, can we call it fasting if we're not eating less calories? I'm writing a talk on this right now. It's a very interesting space, but just for our purposes, what I say, 2 meals a day, get it in a window, like a brunch, lunch, and a dinner. Something like that. That's kind of fasting. This seems to be much more like what people have done historically. Maybe have a meal, maybe have another one. And so that's just something to get into. When we think about Runaway Train, we think about culture and where it's going. Look into the deep history of people. We take a certain way of being, a certain culture, and we say, oh, is this normal? But then we look back, and it can help us get a little bit of a cultural critique. It's like, is this really normal? Hey, thanks for sharing this perspective, and this is totally fine. Lately, I feel better eating 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., and time in between is fasting. And so this is a totally cool pattern. It's just fine. You're getting shorter total fasting space, but you're getting fasting space, in between each of these things. And if that is working for you and you're having good results and feeling good, it can be a really wonderful way to do it. Your body can get in a groove with that. I have had people who really like that. And so that can be for a season, or it could be long term, and it's just if there's no rules. I like that session we did. No rules for weight loss. There's just things that serve us and things that don't. And so a big thing that I'm trying to bring in for people, okay, can we just absorb some concepts into our life, a fasting space, in a way that helps us? And so 2 meals, apart from any specific time restriction, is bringing less total calories into the system. More total fasting space, like from that breakfast out toward that dinner meal. And so that can be a beautiful way to do it. Absolutely can. Another note I put on here just to think about in this context is how society can guilt trip people into eating. And this is something... we could open up a fair and honest dialogue, where we say on the other side, if there are a whole groups of people who are, we could imagine, I've never experienced this, but like fasting people say, oh, is they making someone feel bad for eating. Like, well, we wouldn't want to do that. And it's like on the other side, though, what happens much more commonly is the fact that in a consumption culture like this, someone even suggests not eating, they're getting guilt tripped or shamed into eating, or pressured. Like, you're in a group, other people are eating, it's very hard not to. So if we look at the ways, we're all on our own path, And, part of this conformity culture has been like, well, everybody has to eat all the time. And so to step out from that, that's why I wore this shirt. I probably can't read it. Just says dare to be different. And it's got one little white tree in the forest of dark trees. Okay. So it's like dare to be different. You try to be different. People in a conformist society, say they're gonna guilt trip you. Have you ever felt that? Have you felt something like that? Or it might just be some, like internally, we can do it to ourselves because we feel like, well, we don't want to be different. Everybody is doing something. So it can be very hard to stay on a path. Every time you even talk about it, you get a runaway train coming hammering you and just saying like, oh, you can't do that, So this is the type of thing that I have experienced that people are up against when they try to practice fasting. Like someone comes in for a consult and you say, look at the physiology, look at what's happening in the body saving energy for us, so use it. Like these things that people say, it kind of makes sense. But then it's like, okay, go home, and then the partner is not on board, and then it's like very, very difficult. Like that's a scenario that is very, very common. I love it. Some people apologize. They bring their partner to a consult. They say, oh, well, we're getting a 2-for-1. I say it's beautiful because it's really like the same thing. Like we're trying to get everybody on the same page is the way to walk forward. Gets over some of these barriers where people feel peer pressure and things to do it. I wrote a note, just think about the metabolic space and stopping the train. Like think about what is happening. Like just when stopping the flow of energy coming in. Like I would love for docs, endocrinologists, nutritionists. I want people in here. I'll bring you on the show, even like you disagree. Let's just talk about it. Just isn't it interesting just to think physiologically? We are giving people advice all the time. Got to keep the train running. Okay, I'm just picturing train cars full of food is always coming in. You say this is the best advice that the system has. Just never give it space to stop. Like, does this make sense? Like what happens when the train stops? Like, oh, all of a sudden energy is not flowing in. All of a sudden you can see, right? The insulin level will drop, right? The blood sugar can come down. Aren't these positive? It's so positive. Stop the train and good things are happening. Gives a chance to shut the acid pumps down a bit, It's very positive. Like we've looked at some of the papers, we can look at a lot more. Say, oh, when we open up fasting space, blood pressure better. Isn't that a clue, I think it's a clue. Think about like a busy restaurant and a kitchen. What if the orders never stopped? What if it's 24/7? Like how crazy would it be? Wouldn't the dishes pile up? Like wouldn't the workers get burned out? Doesn't it need a break? There's another thought I had. Like, aren't there many places in life, maybe not everywhere, don't most things in life need space, need a break, need balance? Had says, if you stop long enough in a fasting space, you can quiet the noise, the established noise. Listen to your own body. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. How interesting is that? Do we have that space in our society? Does anybody even want to do it? Of course, people do want to do it. But a lot of people wanting to sell us products and ways to do it. And fasting is the sort of thing that you can't sell, that's free. This means totally accessible. This is why I'm so excited about it, because so accessible. No, you see, there's a barrier to entry of fasting, so like of feeling hungry. Like, yes, fasting is you're going to start fasting. You say, can we take away hunger from the experience? No, not really. But we can use it to diminish the experience over time and gain strength, both physically in the body and mentally in the mind, and helping us to build a strong and powerful mindset. and help us to have a relationship with food where we are in control of it and it is not in control of us. Like that is what I want from fasting, to use it as a tool to get into that place, to get leverage over it. Remember, a lever, I use that analogy, the longer it is, the more leverage. Think of our fasting space. As we open up space from food, that's like getting leverage over the food. You're telling us, see, you are not in control of me. See, I don't need you every moment. Or see, we're getting leverage over it. We're putting it in its place. Quiet the noise of the train. Yeah, I love that. Do you see, like, do you have food noise? Do you experience that? That's a phrase people use a lot. Food noise. It's like cravings, the desire to eat, all these things. How do you quiet a food noise? Okay, how do you quiet the sound of a train? Well, it's like move away from the tracks. See, track's way over here now. And train not so loud anymore. See, that's fasting space. Love that analogy. Here I wrote a note, the sane alternative. Commenter suggesting that this is like irrational, basically, is like the implication. Say, oh, dangerous, like crazy thing to do. Stop eating? Are you kidding? I was like, well, when we just start to look at what is happening here. Somebody from that frame of mind, Runaway Train says fasting is a deprivation. Okay, that's culture. That's part of the noise. Okay. I got to tell you, I shared the picture, fasting hike, sitting on top of the mountain, looking out over 100,000, whatever it is, square miles or acres or whatever it is, and just feeling about the best I've ever felt, in my life, and fasting is a part of that. Part of that, I still would have felt great if I had breakfast and hiked and looked out over a beautiful view, but I would just tell you the fasting made it better, not worse, That's the reality for me. Fasting is like a bonus. That's what I say. Help things. It's not everything, but it's a good thing. And to have something that is good, that can help access energy in the body, that can make it easier. Okay, this is the thing. I don't say fasting is easy, but it can become easier. It can become a thing that in our big picture of our life can help our experience moving toward weight loss and metabolic health to be easier. Just think of it from a perspective. How many people going to the gym and loading up with sports drinks and breakfast ahead of time is like, okay, you're trying to burn off some extra weight off the frame. You load up with all this extra energy. You've got to burn through all that energy that you just loaded in there before you're starting to get to the purpose that you're actually doing. So you want to take some pressure off your situation and make it easier. You say, is fasting easy? Is like, no, not as a blanket statement, but as you practice it and you get used to it, you see, oh, well, it's meaning less total work to do. It's like, so that's easier. There's a place to start. It's like, do you ever get on a treadmill and you're running on the treadmill and watching like the calorie thing? And it's like, I've been going and going. I was like, well, I got to 200 calories. So like, there's like the bagel and cream cheese and a thing, it's like, well, what if we just took that away? All of a sudden we've burned through that without having to do all that work, And so like, where do we want to put the work in, Where is the highest leverage point? We're talking about fasting, giving space to give leverage over food. So it's like, if we have a limited amount of effort, like, where do we want to put that effort? It's like, we can put 100% of the energy into the exercise, okay? But if we don't pay mind, like, to the eating, then it's like, we got to, like, really be dialing in huge amounts. We're going to have to ramp that up to 1,000 calories on the treadmill, literally, okay? But it's like, what if we balanced out some of that effort over into some fasting? Say if fasting is difficult, okay, treadmill difficult, fasting difficult. It's like, let's just bring in some of this to take the pressure off that one. I like that. The sane alternative, that's what I wrote. The way I approach it, thoughtful, peaceful, approach to it, not forced. See, Runaway Train, I think, say things in this society, very forced, very much pressure. We call it hustle culture. We say everything intense, everything going. And so I think maybe somebody from that frame of mind look at a fasting space and say, well, we have to go 100 miles an hour at it, which means fasting a long time. And isn't that something I don't want to do? But what I'm saying is, like, we can approach it very softly, gently, thoughtfully. Not like a runaway train. We're not trading one runaway train for another one. We're getting off the runaway train and then doing some walking. That's what I say. I love that session before I went on the hike. Say, walk off the weight. I told the story about a gentleman who just became a big-time walker, opened up fasting space and walking space, gently leaned into it, and moving toward health. It's like the opposite of a runaway train, the opposite of hustle culture, something very, very thoughtful. Something that can be empowering, you know? It's like, say, I'm taking charge of this situation here. I'm saying no. I'm setting a boundary here. And I'm saying these are the times that we eat and these are the times that we're not. That is healthy. Like, think of all the times in life that setting boundaries is like the right answer. Isn't it usually the right answer? It's like, we got to define the edge here. Put things in their right place. Just something, I wrote something to think about for the day. When was the last time you felt pressured into eating? When you didn't really want to, you know? Good to eat. Like I said, I tell good stories about when I eat. Like I was going to be doing an OMAD dinner and we found a Carolina barbecue. So we stopped it for lunch. And, you know, then I shifted it and it's all good. But like, I chose to do that, you know? I wanted to do that. It was great, you know? But like, when is the time? And think about it. Are there times? It's like, oh, I don't think I would really want to do that. Okay, but do you feel pressured? Is that the runaway train in action, like Had was saying? Is that the noise? And can we use this thinking to help us just get a little space from it? And does that help our life, you know? I hope these thoughts are helpful thinking. Really appreciate the comment from Runaway Train. If you are coming through and watching this, say hi in the comments. I would love to have a discussion. Share your honest reflections. You don't have to agree. All perspectives welcome. Really nice to share this space with you. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will look forward to connecting with you again soon. Be well, everybody.